Sartain breaks down 9 evolutionary triggers that drive attraction, and none of them are height, looks, or money. This changes the entire excuse most men are hiding behind.
There's never been a point in history where it's easier to fall behind. It's never been a point in history where it's easier to get fat, ignorant, it's easier to get scarce, and it's easier to get obese. There's never been a point in history where it's easier to get fat than right now. That doesn't exist, okay? Now, here's the other part, right? Because remember I told you there's no victims. What I did was describe the landscape for you, but I'm not blaming anyone, okay? One of my best friends is Rollo Tomasi. I do a show with him. Rollo and I, we differ massively on this one issue, and that is he believes that third-wave feminism and the birth control pill were some nefarious plot with which to destroy masculinity and destroy the population, and I don't agree with that. I think it was an accident. I do. I think birth control just accidentally did this and made sex inconsequential and made women give sex away for free, which caused women to wait longer until they got married, which caused the birth rate to drop. I think all of this just happened on accident. In fact, there's a study that shows that in every case, whenever the GDP in a nation increases, in every case the birth rate drops. Have you guys seen this before? Like in places like Indonesia, the birth rate's still crazy high. Nigeria, it's still crazy high. Mexico is way higher than the United States. Places like Norway, Sweden, Finland, the United States, the birth rate's just plummeting. Japan, the lowest. Japan and South Korea, just terribly, incredibly low birth rates because the GDP keeps rising. Okay, so I'm trying to describe the scenario for you guys, and I imagine, because who here came because Marcel asked you to come? Was anybody on Marcel's list? Okay, cool. Who here came because you were on Owen's list? Owen's list. Who here came from my list? There's a few guys. Okay, I know you did. You did. Okay, cool. A few guys did. All right. So I imagine because you guys have been watching Owen for some time, and me and Owen have been really good friends for 14 years now. You guys want to understand this landscape and why things have changed. Okay. Do you guys remember Owen? Have you seen him recently? He's been throwing these house parties. You know, these like mansion parties. Have you seen those before? Anybody? Nobody seen the mansion parties? You've seen them before? Okay, so he started throwing these, he would call me and he'd be like, hey man, I want to start throwing these mansion parties. Can you help me? Hey, I'm trying to get a bunch of promoters to come out here and bring a bunch of girls, blah, blah, blah. The reason why he did that is because he has come to the realization that I've come to. Mystery, who stays at my house sometimes, he's come to this realization. Everyone in this space has come to this realization, and that is going out to regular places as a regular guy to meet beautiful women is not happening anymore. It's just not. It isn't. If any of you guys want to discuss why this is happening, that's what I've been trying to explain to you here for the last 20 minutes. It just doesn't happen anymore. It doesn't. And I'm going to tell you as a guy, and by the way, if you have any doubts about what I'm saying, just go to my Instagram right now. I'm telling you the reason why that's happening. Here's what we figured out. So I started doing these surveys. So I have a show called Access Vegas, and I've had probably over 1,000 girls on the show at this point. And then I've had, I also host the 4 biggest bikini competitions in Las Vegas, and I also host the single biggest bikini competition in the world, which is called Swimsuit USA. I'm the host for the finals. I am constantly surrounded by beautiful, young, very attractive women, no tattoos, no OnlyFans, and I take out my Osmo. Anybody know what an Osmo is? It's a little steady cam that you can have, and I'll interview these girls, hundreds of them, and I'll ask them, how'd you meet the last 5 guys you dated? What I'm really asking is, how'd you meet the last 5 guys you But what I say is, how'd you meet the last 5 guys you dated? Who here wants to guess what the answers are as a percentage? And here are the options you have. You have speed dating, you have matchmaking, you have dating apps, you have cold approach in a bar or a nightclub, you have social media, you have social circle, and you have exclusive events. Anybody want to take a guess on like the percentages?
Oh, percentages?
Yeah. What do you think?
Social circle, sky high.
Mm-hmm. Anybody else? Next would be, you think it's cold approach? Yeah. Anybody else? Social media. Anybody else? Exclusive events. Yeah, cold approach was 0. Yeah, there's not a single, now I'm not saying girls don't meet guys through cold approach, they do. And by the way, if you come to one of my events, you should do cold approach because there's more women than men. But I create events where there's more women than men. What I'm trying to tell you is that in 2006, if you guys did cold approach in Hollywood, you were gonna meet beautiful women because there were beautiful women everywhere, and they didn't put high fructose corn syrup in the meat that you ate, so they weren't all obese. It was a completely different world. It was a completely different world that we were living in. And so what I'm telling you now is that when we ask these women those seven questions, how many girls do you think that we're under 25, let's say under 27, and I'm talking really attractive, like a 9 or a 10. When I say a 9, by the way, you cannot tell me a girl is a 9 if she can't even get a call back to work at Palm Tree Live Beach, if she can't get a call back to work at Encore Beach Club or like Tao Beach, like the top pools in the world. If she can't get a call back to work at one of those places, she's not a 9. A 9 is that attractive. Like I'm talking looks perfect in a bikini. That's a 9. For 9s and 10s, whenever we ask them, world-class bikini models, how'd you meet the last 5 guys you dated? How many of them said dating apps? Anyone want to take a guess? 0. I asked hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, and the answer was f***ing 0. How many of them met someone through cold approach? Again, 0. Not a single one of them. Now, when I ask women who are over 38, constantly they say, yeah, guys come up and talk to me at a bar. Why is that? Because that's a generation where that was kind of a big thing that was happening. So that's the massive difference. And then the other one, we asked them, it's like, so how else did you meet him? And it's like, well, I saw this guy on social media. So generally the way it works is it's exclusive events and common friends. These are the main 2 ways that the really attractive girls are meeting the guys that they're dating. So exclusive events. So for me, I host the teatro parties, I host the Babes in Toyland parties, I host the Swimsuit USA preliminaries. I was helping Dan Bilzerian out with the Ignite parties for a while, and then I host Maxim parties, and then I have like a couple of events where I take girls on stage for like Diplo, Tiesto, different places like that. So these are like exclusive events. So it's exclusive events, or a friend introduced me, and that friend 80% of the time is female. A woman introduced them. Okay, now I want you to think about this right now. Rollo Tomasi and Owen Cook, and probably Marcel for that matter, if you were to ask them 10 years ago, hey, do you think it's a viable strategy, ask anybody else, any other dating coach you can think of, it's a viable strategy for men to be friends with women in order to get dates, how many of them would have said yes? None of them. There's videos of me in 2008 saying this. And so here's the strategy I'm going to give you, this overall strategy. I have hundreds and hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of insanely hot female friends who are constantly introducing me to more women. And I do no work. None. I have an event, I ask 3 girls to show up and they bring another 5. That's the way it works all the time. Everybody understand? Hey guys, do they keep your phones or do you have your phones? You have your phone? Take your phones out and just go to my Instagram right now, because I don't want you guys to think, I don't want you to think that I'm bullshit on this. Those of you who don't know, okay? Just Instagram, just look up Michael Sartain. All right? Yeah.
My understanding was that the Gen Z tries to solve all their problems with the phone, and they are on dating apps. They see that as a primary way to meet people. Is it not correct?
No. So here's the misconception. So what they report is that they're meeting people online, and people say, well, they're meeting online. That means dating apps. No, it means Instagram. So here's the delineation. If you want to meet a woman over 35, Facebook is the way to go. If you want to meet a woman under 35, Instagram is the way to go. It's really hard, unless you're very famous, to do it on TikTok. I do know some guys who can pull it off on TikTok. I don't know any guys who can pull this off on Twitter, okay? It's almost entirely, it's the age group you're looking for. So if it's 35 or under, use Instagram. If it's 35 or older, I would use Facebook in order to meet the women that you're looking for. Make sense? Okay, go ahead.
Why do you think cold approach is 0?
Okay, so it's not 0. It's 0 for 9s and 10s. The reason why, and here's part of the reason why. So when I would go to the Playboy Mansion. So I used to host a bikini competition with Crystal Harris Hefner, which is Hugh Hefner's widow is named Crystal Harris. Okay. And Crystal and I were friends. We hosted a bikini competition at called the Rehab Bikini Invitational at the Hard Rock Hotel in Las Vegas from 2015 to 2017. Crystal and I became good friends. She would invite me to the Playboy Mansion. So I used to go to the Playboy Mansion as a videographer for a company called Karma. And then afterwards, I went to the Playboy Mansion as a guest. I was just a guest of Crystal Hefner. And when I would go there, how do you think women acted whenever I would go up and approach them and talk to them in the Playboy Mansion? Anybody?
Receptive.
They were receptive, they were friendly. How many times do you think I was rejected when I was in the Playboy Mansion?
Rarely.
Why? Because there's an algorithm in her head that's saying, this mother did something to get in here. They would never, okay, ready? So I have an apartment in Panorama Towers in Vegas, but I basically live in the VIP of Excess nightclub. I'm there so much, it's ridiculous. I am at Excess so much, I swear to God, this will happen. If you guys ever come out, I'll bring you on there. The guy who controls stage one is a security guard named Ray, and then the guy who brings the girls on stage is a really good looking dude. He's a former boxer named. I walk in there, and I'll be with a bunch of girls, and Randy and Ray will tap me on the shoulder to ask me if they should let another guy in. Like, I'm there so much that security's asking me if it's okay to let it, I'm like, hey, Ray, I don't work here. Like, I don't know why you're asking me this. Okay, so when I'm on stage at Excess, when I'm at Babes in Toyland, when I'm at these different events, and I go up and talk to a woman, how do you think they act? They act exactly like they did at the Playboy Mansion. Okay? So, getting your physical body into a place where there's more women than men and there's some exclusivity to it, all of a sudden, cold approach does work, but it's not cold approach anymore. You need zero intent because women are competing for your attention. So here's the first part. So we're going to get into like the real dense, nerdy into my program. Dr. David Buss of the University of Texas at Austin, who is, I consider him a mentor. I'm also a Longhorn just like him. He has a study where he goes over what happens in relationships in societies where there's more men than women and societies where there's more women than men. On the University of Texas at Austin's campus, there's 14% more women than men on the campus. So significantly more women than men. I think, I forgot what the number is. Was it 36 to 64, something like that. And he said because of that, he goes, in those societies where there's more women than men, women are more tolerant of short-term hookups and guys having multiple partners. In societies where there's more men than women, women are less okay with short-term hookups and more insistent on long-term partners. You guys understand that? So here's the thing. When we go to nightclubs and bars, there's more men than women. If you don't believe that, guys, go to any nightclub, just look on the dance floor and just count. You'll be like, wait, what the f? 43 dudes and 7 girls. Like, what the f is this? I'll never forget. This is when I knew. So COVID happens. All the nightclubs in Vegas shut down, although we were having the best parties of all time. We were having these mansion parties. After COVID, after the nightclubs started opening again, opens this place called Jason Strauss, who owns the. I go there one day, it's me, this guy named Lynn Oeding, who's a Hollywood director, and then Dan Bilzerian. And so we're standing on stage, we're right behind Tiesto. Like if Tiesto farted, it would have been on my face. Like we're right behind him. And Dan is like looking this way out at the crowd, and I'm looking at Dan and I'm talking to his friend. And there's 2 tables full of beautiful women behind us. And Dan looks at me and he goes, yo, there's no girls here. And I was like, Dan, what are you talking about? Dude, there's 2 tables of beautiful women behind you. And but they were all paid models. They were paid to be there. And he goes, no, man, I'm looking in the GA and it's like, there's no women here. And I was like, that's crazy. And I look out there and I'm like, oh my God, there's no women here at all. And I didn't, until he had pointed it out, I didn't even notice it. And so that's essentially what's going on. And you're going to see this in a lot of other categories. So what I've taught guys to do, there's a few pillars here. The first pillar is how do we use evolutionary attraction triggers? Here, we'll play a fun game. If I had 100 women in this room right now, and I say, ladies, you can answer if you like. How many of you guys think it's attractive if a man is loyal? How many women would raise their hand? All of them would raise their hand if you asked if it's attractive if a man is loyal? Okay, cool. Now you ask the same group of women. By the way, I've done this. If you guys want to see it, I filmed it on my show. Ladies, how many of you know a woman who's dated a man who wasn't loyal, or you dated a man who wasn't loyal? And it gets really quiet in the room. And then the women start looking at you and like with these accusing looks like, who hurt you, bro? Why are you calling us out like that? Why is it that women date men who aren't loyal? Because loyalty is not attractive. It isn't. What is the #1 hobby that women rate as to being the most attractive? Anybody know? Huh? No. Isn't it funny? You know, because you're a man, because you have to fucking deal with women. So you know, he said charisma, which is correct, but women don't say that. What is the #1 hobby that women say that women find a man to be attractive? Anybody? Reading. Reading. I read 60 books a year. No woman, like, do you see how you guys are all laughing right now? Reading. Women say, I like a man who's faithful and a man who reads. Really? And then how about this? Should a man be stoic or expressive? Which is more attractive? What do you think a woman's gonna say?
Stoic.
No, you're men. You guys, women, of course you're giving me the right answer. You're not answering. How would women answer this question? They're all gonna say, I want a man who expresses, just tells me his problems, and he's super expressive. And then they want a guy who buys flowers, is kind, etc. Now, here's the problem. Women, there's a part that women leave out. And by the way, it's not women's fault. This is just an evolutionary adaptation. When women say they want a guy to buy them flowers, and that's attractive, they don't want a guy to buy them flowers. They want a guy they're attracted to buy them flowers. When they say they want a guy who reads, they want a guy who they're attracted to read. When they say they want a guy who's loyal, they want a guy they're attracted to be loyal. If a homeless, overweight, smelly, fat, gross dude came up to them and said, hey, you want to know something? I'm very loyal. I'm going to buy you flowers. Let me tell you about my last 3 ex-girlfriends. I'm going to be very expressive with you. And I read a ton. Would she become sexually attracted to him? No, because that's not how attraction is built. I have a ton of female friends that I go to for advice when it comes to animal rescue. I have a ton of female friends I go to advice for when it comes to my 501c3. I have a ton of female friends I go to. I do not go to women for advice on attraction. I do not. I'm sorry. Because whenever I ask women for what they're attracted to, they always explain to me what they find comfortable. Do you guys remember the Mysteries Attraction, Comfort, Seduction module? Attraction always comes before comfort. Well, when you ask women what they find attractive about men, it's always things they find comfortable. The dad bod. Who here heard that dad bod and you just knew it wasn't true? You just knew it wasn't true. You've been to a pool and seen a guy who's ripped take his shirt off and watch the girl stare. You know dad bod is a lie. It's a myth. She doesn't want a guy to have a dad bod. What she wants is to be married to Brad Pitt and have Brad Pitt get her pregnant, and while she's pregnant with Brad Pitt's baby, for Brad Pitt to get a dad bod. That's what she wants. Does everybody understand? So, the way that I learn about the behaviors of men is I stop listening to their words and I just pay attention to what they do. And the way I learned about the behaviors of women is I just stop listening to their words and I just paid attention to what they do. Okay? You with me? So what we did instead was we described evolutionary attraction triggers. Ready? Here's 9. Here's 9. These are not all of them. And I'm not going to include looks or money or height or drugs or alcohol. Okay, ready? Here they are. It's relevancy. How relevant am I? This also, you can be physically irrelevant by being overweight. But like, it's the guy who have you guys ever seen, you go to a dinner and you hand the waiter the phone to take a picture and you're like, turn the flash on. He goes, flash, turn the flash on. And he's like, that you are irrelevant. I'm going to give you guys a hint real quick. At the end of the speech here, I'm going to have all of you guys take a picture of me, and you have to do it within 5 seconds with the flash on, and if you can't, you fail. I'm telling you right now we're going to do it, and 90% of you won't be able to do it. You are irrelevant when you don't know how to do things, how to use technology, how to call an Uber, how to pay your taxes. You're irrelevant. Guys, when you're older, the relevancy thing is a bigger thing. I'm almost 50 years old. My girlfriend, the girl I'm seeing right now, she's 18 years younger than me. My previous girlfriend, I was 44 and she was 20, okay? The reason why, as you get older, your relevancy matters more because there's a trope. The idea of you being irrelevant means you can't have sex, you're not any good in bed, you're just not fun. Like, I'm way more into cool than she is. Like, my 21-year-old girlfriend, I wasn't taking her to see Tiesto, or she wasn't telling me to go to Tiesto. I was dragging her there, okay? So relevancy. The second one is competency. Women will say, I find men who are attractive or who are intelligent to be attractive. They don't. Do you remember? Marcel made such a great point about this. So you are far more likely to be a virgin with an IQ over 130 than you are with an IQ under 80. If you have an IQ under 80, you're far more likely to do well with women than if you have an IQ over 130. He's not wrong. It's neuroticism. The guy who has an IQ under 80, you know what he says? Get big, take steroids, lift weights. I'm Brock. What's your name? Let's go on a date. Now, that's not a really high percentage strategy, but you will f some women from doing that. Like, eventually, if you keep doing it, you will. Now, these girls will probably have a 900 body count, but you will f someone from that strategy, okay? So that's the reason why that works. Yes, and my clients, the majority of you guys, if any of you have a technical job and you know you have an IQ way over 100 and you know you deserve a better woman than what you've been getting, and you know that the world isn't fair, and that try-hard who takes his shirt off and plays the guitar at the party, who has an IQ of like 72 and has never done life, and he's all the hot girls, and that makes you mad, you're going to be joining my course before the end of that's the majority of my clients are that guy. You know you're better than what you've been getting. You know you've been losing out to dudes who are losers. They look like Machine Gun Kelly or the Island Boys. They look like Tekashi 6ix9ine. You've been losing out to these and you know you should be doing better, then you should be joining my course, because that's exactly who my core audience is. Highly intelligent guys who use their intelligence to become successful, but that intelligence does not transmit over to when talking to women. Okay, you guys got it? So relevancy, competency. What is competency? Competency is intelligence put into action. So being intelligent is actually not that attractive to women. When you take that intelligence and then you're actually a really good storyteller, or you use that intelligence to show a great amount of competency or wealth. So me taking a high level of intelligence and turning into wealth, that's what's attractive. It's not wealth in and of itself. That is a different attraction trigger that works for prostitutes. And that's why I don't teach that. That's another thing, guys. This is gonna catch some of you really off guard here. For all the stuff you see in my program, I use zero money. Zero. All those, do you guys look me up on Instagram? All those photos with all those girls, those dinners are comped. I don't pay for the dinners. I don't pay for the locations. I don't pay for anything. Half the time I get paid to show up. What I teach you requires zero money. And now if you have a great woman in your life, like I have a girl right now that I'm seeing, we've had threesomes with like different women. Like she's amazing. She actually does clean my place. I know Marcel was saying he doesn't let his girl clean. I'm like, she does clean I don't ask her to. I have a housekeeper. She just wants to clean it. That girl, I'll pay for whatever she wants. She just doesn't ever ask me to pay for anything. When you get genuine desire from a woman, I've offered my ex-girlfriends, both of them, I've just take my credit cards, and they won't take my credit cards. They won't take my credit cards. Like that, when we're talking about being able to do this and use zero money, that's one of the main things I want you to understand in this program. So we did relevancies, 1, competencies, 2, access to scarce resources. That could be money, but it doesn't mean money. Access to scarce resources is just like a resource could be one resource is when he's talking about leadership before, I'm a big dude leading a group of women to their table in a club or taking care of the birthday party. If I'm the guy who's doing that, that's a resource that they can't get. Here's another resource that you can have as a guy. You're the only dude that hangs out with her who doesn't hit on her like a creep. Okay, that's another resource. And then another resource is, money or cars or whatever. The resources one is not the big one. It's access to scarce locations. So this is, you can get her in backstage at whatever the place is, whatever VIP, you can get her a reservation at a restaurant that she can't normally get. This is the reason why club promoters so many women is because of access to scarce locations, the DJ booth, and then access to scarce networks. I can't tell you how many times I've taken a girl on a date and we've gone to see some huge speaker and then she's watching the speaker and I look at her like, let's go backstage. And then I just walk backstage because I know someone or I just talk my way back there. And then she's like, holy shit. And then she meets all these guys. And I was like, yeah, the color blue, that guy owns the color blue. That guy was worth $80 billion. And then she's like, what? So it's access to scarce networks, okay? Then it's humor. That's an easy one. Humor is an easy one to understand. It's the hardest one to do. You can literally humor if you're a 5, you can humor your way into dating a 10. You can. Humor is the hardest one to do. Humor is the first thing I teach in my course because it's the hardest thing to teach in the course. We call it breaks and rapport. Charisma, this includes storytelling. Charisma is another great way. Getting up and talking in front of groups of people, charisma is another attraction trigger, right? And then here's the second biggest one, which is social proof. Social proof is an incredible attraction trigger. Social proof. And ready, here's the last one. Here's the biggest one. If you guys have been following me for a while, what is the #1 attraction trigger? Pre-selection. There you go. It's pre-selection. Number 9 is pre-selection. Nothing trumps pre-selection, okay?